Hello, hello, hello. Are we live? I believe we are live. Can I just get a confirmation in the chat that we are in fact live? That you can see me? Still not getting any comments. Oh, okay. Okay, there's a bit of a delay, I think. Let's see. Yes, live. Okay, there we go. Okay, so so some people can see me. That's interesting. Uh-huh. I have never had this happen before. Oh, okay. Wait. Can you see Guy? I wrote both comments. I wrote the comment and it put it. The people saying that you can see me, what channel can you see me on? Yeah, okay. See, it's saying okay. So I think on my channel, it's live. But on Armin's channel, for some reason, it's still scheduled and not live. That is weird. Maybe I'll try ending. Oh, it's starting? Oh, okay. Now it's okay. Okay, good. So hi everyone. Now we're live. There has been some technical difficulties. For some reason, we only went live on my channel. So welcome to Geopolitics. Name very much pending, unless you really like it, and then I'll use it. But otherwise, this is your show with me. Might be called Geopolitics, might not be. So I'm Guy. For those who are not aware or not familiar, I'm Israeli. I'm part of Armin's group discussions, and this will be my slot this time of day. It's, I think, for people on the West Coast, it's probably a bit early, so you'll get to catch the replay. But a bunch of people from other places in the world appreciate having a show at this time. So we have a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Oh, by the way, so for those watching on Liberty Politics, if you're interested, this is my channel. Let me quickly show it. So this is my first time going solo, so there might be some hiccups. We will see. Okay, so this is my channel. I would highly appreciate if you go and subscribe. I intend to make, so some of my content is going to be on Liberty Politics as well, but some won't. I plan on making a debunk series on the biggest lies told about Israel. I plan on making maybe some philosophical content. I've seen some interest in the community in content related to philosophy and specifically philosophy of knowledge. How can you know? Can you know that you can know? What's the best method to be as aligned with the truth as possible? I have some tips about that. So I'll be making a bunch of videos related to those topics, and also deep dives into the history of Israel and stuff like that, to keep you guys well equipped to deal with the massive amounts of misinformation that unfortunately is rampant in in the world right now regarding Israel. So, on today's show, we are going to talk about a bunch of recent updates with Israel's diplomacy, as well as obviously the recent updates with regards to the war in Iran specifically, but also the aspects of the war that relate to Gaza and Lebanon, both from an Israeli perspective, but also an American perspective. I will tell you what I think are the odds that Israel is going to join back into the war. We'll talk about some updates for those who haven't caught any. So Ali's live stream from yesterday, for example, or Armin's other streams, some updates that are highly relevant. So we'll quickly go through those, and also some general news stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. All right. So let's begin. Let's see some of what has happened recently. So again, apologies for any technical difficulties. This is my first time going solo. So let's 1 second. Okay, I'm going to share something else. Okay, so a recent update. The Israeli-Czech Business Forum in Tel Aviv opened just now with speeches by Gidon Saar and Peter Masenka, who is, I believe, the foreign minister of the Czech Republic, but I could be wrong. And there is a lot of tightening of relations between Israel and the Czech Republic. This is highly relevant because the Czech Republic is now our best partner for blocking anti-Israel decisions in the EU. So far, things like sanctions on Israel because of settlements and so on have required consensus for like these kinds of decisions required a consensus, and so it means that if we have one country that consistently votes against it, then the sanctions are not going to apply. And now the Czech Republic, after we lost, we used to have Hungary as the country that provided this, but now the Czech Republic is our partner, or the partner that is relevant to us now that Orban has lost his elections in Hungary. So the new Czech Republic government is now tightening its relations with Israel even more so. Okay, so let me quickly go through the chat. Let's see if you guys have any questions about this. And so this is really good because they promised essentially that they wouldn't they'd be our like shield from the EU sanctions, and also they blocked a decision to try to avert the consensus by making sanctions not require such a consensus. Okay, so Amir has a question. So Amir is Israeli, and he is asking, since we signed the agreement with the Lebanese government, was there any movement from their side? So I don't know what you mean by movement here. They are moving into the areas that we are the pilot areas that we are leaving from southern Lebanon. There have been nothing official, nothing bombastic. They haven't. I mean, other than the agreement itself, which was a huge deal, saying essentially Hezbollah has to disarm, Israel is allowed to stay. That is already in itself a huge deal. We'll discuss some of the a snapshot of what things are there at the moment in a bit. But there are movements, I think, under the surface. so the Lebanese army is meeting with American officials, training and trying to think of how best to take care of the situation. It's not there isn't something you can do that's like zbeng vegamarnu, as we say in Hebrew. That's like a big boom and then you're done. And you can't make big booms right now because right now Hezbollah is still too powerful and would have counter moves against you. And so there are things I think happening underneath the surface based on the public meetings that we know are happening. We also know there's going to be a bilateral meeting in the States in a few days. I don't remember the exact date. But things are moving. Things are moving. Not not quickly, but it's also fine that they're not moving quickly. They shouldn't move too quickly, I think. Okay. So let's see anything else. It is good to see this between the Czech Republic and Israel. Yes, I agree. Okay, a lot of talk about Mujtaba's apparent girlfriend. Is she also cardboard, or is it a mixed marriage? And is that allowed by the Durka religious laws? Okay, Amir is saying, yeah, most likely under the surface, it is a great agreement. I hope it's utilized well. Thanks, Guy. Yeah, and I'll talk about it a bit more. Okay, so here, this is interesting. A new Lebanese initiative signed by more than 400 people from across the country's sectarian political spectrum, including Shiite, is offering fresh hope to Hezbollah's opponents. So, Joto, if you can expand on what that is, because I haven't heard about this. Now, 400 people is not a lot, to be fair. Like it could be like a change.org petition or something along those lines. In that sense, it's not really meaningful. But I'd love to hear more details about this. Okay, so let's continue. Other than the Czech Republic, our Ministry of Defense has posted this, where Israel is advancing the Israel-India technological partnership, which again, India is becoming a huge partner for Israel. A very, very strong partnership is forming, strategic alliance, as Modi called it. Modi also came to speak in Israeli parliament, which I think, other than Trump, he was the only foreign leader to do it ever since October 7th. And I think, like he usually doesn't do this, and usually doesn't speak in English when he does. So it was a huge point that was being made by him by coming and doing that. He is basically saying, I'm firmly establishing my alliance with Israel, which is good. And as we can see, a lot of people on both sides are advancing technological cooperation between the countries to further ingrain this partnership. Oh, by the way, even though I'm not Armin, I still hold the capability. He taught me the secret arts of reading super chats. As you can see with the ticker at the bottom, I will read all super chats. So feel free to send super chats and I will read them, even though I'm not Armin. Okay. Next, we have so we mentioned some of the lies that are being advanced, like this one. An innocent Palestinian nurse was killed by Israel. This was something that consistently throughout the war, and is still going on, has been advanced. Like Israel is shooting medical professionals. Israel is shooting journalists, and basically every single time, or almost every single time. Maybe some people like got caught in the crosshairs by accident, but basically every single time, they turn out to be terrorists, part of the Islamic Jihad or part of Hamas. And essentially, Israel's revolutionary policy is if you're a terrorist and you're part of Hamas and are an active combatant, we don't really care what your day job is. You're not immune from being targeted because of what you studied in university. Okay. Kat is saying hi, like the stream. Yes, everyone, please like the stream. And also comment and share it. Helps the algorithm. Okay. So there's this one now. By the way, this is a channel you can follow for stuff, but it's an iffy channel. It's not very reliable. Sometimes it posts misinformation, presumably by accident. But for example, this one was originally posted by Eisenberg, and Eisenberg is complaining. Please either retweet or note attribution. And I agree. Eisenberg. So the next one is going to be Eisenberg. Eisenberg is a fantastic channel on X for debunking misinformation about Israel. So if you're looking for channels to follow, I highly, highly, highly recommend following Eisenberg. He posts a lot of these, and as you can see, he also has. Let's see if this is. Yeah, he has chains of like every single time that someone is said, "Oh, they shot a doctor, they killed a doctor," and then, "Oh, by the way, he's a terrorist." He posts. He adds it to this ongoing post chain. So I highly, highly recommend people who are looking for pages to follow to find information to debunk. Eisenberg is fantastic. He's also I believe IAGS is the one where you have like genocide scholars all said that I won't say anything when I'm not sure. This could be a hoax. This could be like the hoax that we had hundreds of genocide scholars agreeing that Gaza was a genocide, and then turns out you can just pay $20 to join. So I'm not sure if that was IAGS. I'm not gonna look it up now. So he's either a genuine genocide scholar or this is a troll. This line is a troll. But regardless, he is very, very, very good, and I highly recommend him. Another one that I highly recommend is Eitan Fishburger. Also, a very excellent source for debunking things. So this is a huge investigation. Clash Report is a Turkish influence operation disguised as breaking news and is tied to Erdogan's family. So he does a whole report here. And so these two channels, I think, are the best channels, at least the best ones that I know, for debunking misinformation and disinformation about Israel. Okay. So I need to correct a little something that Ali and Armin talked about yesterday. So now I'm not going to need to share the screen. It sounded as though from them talking about the report about Saudi normalization demands, it sounded as though they gave up on the demand for Palestinian statehood. That is not true, or at least that's not something you can infer from what they said. They put two critical conditions to Saudi normalization. One is that Benjamin Netanyahu should not remain prime minister after Israel's next election, and the other they mentioned Ben Gvir. I've not seen anywhere that actually Ben Gvir was a condition. They actually specifically mentioned Smotrich's policies in the West Bank. Smotrich's policies in the West Bank are aimed at establishing an Israeli foothold in the West Bank and preventing Palestinian statehood, which, according to him, would be a national sorry, lost my train of thought. a matter of national security, because if you have a Palestinian state right now, they have a few tens of thousands of armed forces that also have trained secretly, even though they're not allowed to, based on the Oslo Accord that was the linchpin to the founding of the Palestinian Authority. They're training in military fighting in urban areas, which, if you're just policing, which is what they're supposed to be, you should not have that capability. And as a result, people in the Israeli right now see the Palestinian Authority not just as a tactical mistake or a strategic mistake that was made in terms of Israel's territorial ambitions and long-term legitimacy, but also in terms of actual security. Some are saying this is the new October 6th, treating the Palestinian Authority as a legitimate entity while it's arming next to our doorstep. And let me quickly, just so you can understand, what it means. Okay. Here we go. See, the problem with doing this alone is that there's no one else to entertain you while I put stuff up. Okay. So this is Israel. Okay. This is Gaza, and this is the West Bank. And the October 7th happened through here into the surrounding settlements. Again, settlements not in the legal settlement sense, in the neutral sense of the word. These are places that people lived in. These were kibbutzim. These were mostly left-wing people. And before October 7th, there was absolutely no international issue with these things. They're very much part of the international consensus of being part of Israel. This is the West Bank. If the same kind of thing happens from the West Bank, it can be absolutely devastating. All of these areas and the biggest cities in Israel are like here. So from the West Bank to the border of Israel, it's like 15 kilometers. This is just 15 kilometers. If you have a break-in or an assault from the West Bank, it can be absolutely devastating. And they also have way more soldiers than the couple thousand that crossed through here and did all that carnage. And so this is why the Israeli right views this as a security concern and Palestinian statehood. Okay, so we have our first super chat. Arik-san is saying, what do you make of Bibi's characterization of Eisenkot as a defeatist on the Ben Baruch podcast, just campaigning, or did he oppose Rafah and Iran ops? I don't know if he opposed Iran. I don't think he was privy to Iran. By all accounts that I've managed to find, he and Gantz did oppose Rafah. However, we don't know, and Eisenkot is claiming that the protocols, if they were to be revealed, would reveal something different. I can't say. Eisenkot has a history of being a more of a like peacenik or like less eager to go to battle. Some would say it can be a good thing. Actually, this relates to a topic we're going to talk about very soon, which is what would be their policy vis-a-vis Iran. Each of the leading parties or the potential candidates for prime ministership. So we'll talk about this more in a bit. He's probably less. So prior to October 7th, he was very much someone who's in favor of keeping the quiet in many cases, but also there are cases where he did say we need to do operations. He's not vehemently opposed to it. It's not like JD Vance in terms of American politics with regards to having like an aversion and an allergic reaction to military operations. It's just that he wasn't eager for them. You can say that's being responsible. You can say that's being part of the conception or being defeatist. The issue is that Netanyahu was the same thing. Before October 7th, Netanyahu was Netanyahu was also not eager to go to war or to fight. Since October 7th, Netanyahu has changed his tune and has become way more active. And we don't know what Eisenkot would do in this situation other than the he said, she said we have from the security cabinet about Rafah. However, there is a relevant comment here from Kat. Eisenkot said on a video interview he isn't sure if Khamenei's cutletting was necessary. I have not seen that. That could also be... So that could be a bunch of stuff. One, not being sure is not the same as saying it's not. So the context could be, and I'll have to listen to it, and feel free to send me the link on School or otherwise to the interview, so I'll look at it, because I haven't seen it and I would be interested in seeing it. It could also be that because he wasn't privy to the operation and the preparations and so on, he just doesn't have the full picture of why that would be necessary. And Kat is saying I can send it. Great, thank you. And Alexan is saying, sure, but Netanyahu's whole life mission was to take down the Islamic Republic. That is true. And I don't know if Eisenkot would be as eager to do it. By all accounts, presumably, like, he would, just not necessarily through kinetic action. So we'll get to that in a bit. And then another super chat by BT. Hey, BT. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Boker Tov, says BT. And parentheses, it is 6 a.m. So presumably BT is in the West Coast. Yeah, that's the downside of doing the stream at this time, is that Americans in the West Coast are not as likely to be able to join. The upside is that everywhere else in the world, it's probably easier for than at least some of the times that the other streams are on. So even though people from the West Coast often feel like they're the center of the world, you're actually not. So tough it out or something, or watch the replay. Okay, but thank you, BT. Oh, okay. So BT is saying, Kat, I don't see you. I'm streaming on 2 channels. One is Armin's channel. The other is this little thing. Again, people, I highly recommend you subscribe to the channel and also go to my chat over there. That way you'll be able to see the people that BT can't see. Also, we're trying to get me to 1,000 subscribers so I can get monetized and expand the channel even more and start making money off of you people. So you can start sending me money by super chats. I would very much like that. So please help me get there. Okay. BT is saying, haha, the world is much better than just the West Coast. And Yuda from our group discussions is saying, Macronistan celebrates National Surrender Day today, so I have time. Isn't every day French a National Surrender Day? I'm just kidding. Okay. All right. So let's continue on with the other things I had planned. By the way, if you have any questions about any of the things, oh, and Yuda is saying, very important, I'm over on Guy's channel for Ahavat Israel. He's saying it in the non-Israeli dialect. Purposes boosting the algorithm. So thank you, Yuda, for doing that. Okay. And every day is a surrender day in France, but today is the big one. Yes. All right. So Saudi has essentially conditioned normalization with Israel on the pulling back of everything that Bezalel Smotrich has done in the West Bank over the last 3 years. And they think that that Netanyahu would never agree to do that. And so that's why I think Netanyahu should not remain prime minister. Arguably, you can also say that he got the reputation of a bloodthirsty maniac um, to their local population. So as a result, they can't sign the deal with him, even though they know it's not true. But they have a public that they don't want to piss off. So there was optimism from Armin and Ali yesterday that this was not this was a softening of demands. I don't think it is. I think they still need something that has to do with the promise for Palestinian statehood. Otherwise, they can't sell it to the public. And and uh, and right now, apparently, Mohammed bin Salman, the leader in Saudi Arabia, the de facto leader, is facing pressure from Muslim Brotherhood and other such things, and he can't be weak in terms of public support. Okay. So Kat sent me the video, and I'll show it in a bit. Meanwhile, Starting Fresh 2 said subscribe to you just now. We'll go watch from your channel while you're on. Shalom, guy. Thank you very much, Starting Fresh. So, okay, really quickly, I'll try to get the clip that Kat sent me, so I can show it to you guys. Okay, it's 47 seconds. All right, so but I need to download it. Okay. Again, this would be much easier if I had someone else. I'm talking with Armin about maybe at least sometimes bringing someone else on as well. I have very knowledgeable friends who would be happy to come. Okay, for some reason it's not downloading, so I'll quickly just watch it myself, I guess. It's also in Hebrew, so a lot of people wouldn't be able to understand it. It's whether he would strike Khamenei. He's thinking about it for a good few seconds. He's actually like his facial expressions are really like I'm really thinking about this. Okay, so he's saying basically whether he's asked whether he would. Uh, I I can't show it. Okay, I can try. Let's see if this works. Yeah, his facial expressions are a sight to behold. All right. Hopefully you'll see the audio this way. Okay. So he's asked whether you would make the decision, asking about regarding Khamenei. It's an open question about the civilian leader, the 87-year-old civilian leader, whether I would target him specifically, presumably because he would die soon anyway. Um, the rest, no problem. But I can also understand why they chose to take him out. So the interviewer is asking. So I'm not talking about the issue of killing an old person, but rather. So look, for example, they sent an attack drone to strike the prime minister's house in Caesarea. So it's completely legitimate in my eyes. Okay, so I think it's fair to say that the way you characterized it leaves out some of the nuance. Cat, do you think that's a fair statement that I'm making right now? So I understand he thinks it was a personal thing with Bibi. No, okay. I didn't. That's not how I understood it at all. I think your bias um is showing here. He says, "Listen, they shot our prime minister. It's a completely legitimate target to shoot theirs." He also said they made the decision. I don't see it that way at all. I completely understood it differently. I understood it as, well, would I target him? I'm not sure, because he is about to die anyway, essentially. And he's considered, like, because he's a religious leader, is considered like a civilian in the world's eyes. The rest, no problem. So he would have done the rest, no problem. And then, like, well, putting aside the fact that it's an old person, and then he thought about it and said, "Look, they shot a drone at us. I don't see it's a completely legitimate decision to make to shoot at them." I don't see how you can listen to everything he says in context and come out with the and come out the other side with the conclusion that this was a personal thing with Bibi, because, like, a revenge thing. I don't think that's what he's saying at all. I don't think he's even insinuating it. I think he's actually making like a legitimate assessment, which you could agree or disagree with, but that's very much what it looks like to me. Okay, so Falcon is asking, no offense, I just joined, but who is he? Could someone tell me? I'm just a guy. I'm also called Guy. I am the resident Israel analyst for Liberty Politics, and I also have my own channel. Once again, this channel is here, and I highly recommend you subscribe. I'll do a bunch of content on Israel and geopolitics from an Israeli perspective, and also some philosophy. We'll see, depending on how much hunger there is for it in the community. Okay. So guys, there should be 10 likes. Yes, please like the stream on either channel. Okay, Jose joined late, and I think he's responding to what I said early on, because we had like 5 minutes of technical difficulties at the beginning, and hopefully Jose will catch up. So CNNN, I'm afraid to ask what the extra N is, Yuda, called Baghdadi a spiritual leader who died like a dog. Yeah, I mean, mainstream media is ridiculous, as we all know. But the question is, if you're going to an operation against Iran, you need to take into account, like, this ridiculous mainstream media. Obviously, Khamenei is the arch terrorist in charge of everything. But in terms of, like, the appearance for the world, that's a question. And Koala Katie, thank you for the $5 super chat. Is asking, would you be willing to do an Israeli government for dummies type video for us beginners, or even provide some good resources for us newbies? I'm actually sort of going to do that now. That's, I think, the next topic that I have set up, and then I might turn it into a video afterwards. Okay, good. Oh, you're a follower from Iraq. Hello. I always love having followers from Arab countries. By the way, in the description you can also see, so over the last few years there's been a huge uptick in Arabic speakers or Arabs being interested in learning Hebrew. And I know that because I have an online course for learning Hebrew. It's called Heblio. I built it, so I've been a tutor for Hebrew for over 10 years, for over 10 years. And I built a course based on the materials that I've done there. And it's very interesting to see the kind of people who would buy that course. And also, if any of you are interested in studying Hebrew, it's a self-paced course. Reviews are very good so far. and I'm also consistently working on improving it. So if you happen to be interested, there's a link in the description. The first link is to join our group discussion. I highly recommend doing that because I have a lot of very interesting people there. I also host every Monday at this time. So basically, yesterday I was hosting a group discussion. And if you have specific questions you'd like to ask me or do a longer discussion, you can go there. Right now, it's not being recorded, so it's very much off the record. We can say everything we want. We'll see. Maybe we'll start recording it at some point, but for now, it's not recorded. And so that's the first link. The second link is Hiblio. It's the online course. If any of you are interested in studying Hebrew, that's also another way of supporting me. Okay. Okay. Question by Yuda. Yes, guy, who does your hair? No one. I have the Tusi syndrome of my hair just naturally looking like this. Like I wake up in the morning, it might be a bit more frazzly because I sleep with a face mask on, and so it like cuts through here. But very quickly, it just sort of straightens out like this. Okay. All right. So moving on to our next topic. So someone asked just now for a, was it Koala Katie? I think it was Koala Katie. Yeah. So ask and you shall receive. Okay. So Israeli government for dummies. First of all, these are the polls right now. This is my prediction. I put the 8 here. It's my prediction. We're going to talk about it in a bit. But the most polls right now create this sort of picture in the election, give or take a few, 1 or 2 seats for each party. But that's a general outlook. Now, the Israeli government, we have the parliament called Knesset. It has 120 members, and we have a coalition that is the government that is formed, or rather, the coalition that creates the government that is formed from the Knesset. So there is an inherent majority for the coalition in the legislative. However, as we have seen many times, this doesn't cause it to control the parliament because you have different factions within the coalition vying for different things. And so Israel's governance is notoriously fragile. We have elections on average every like 2 years. This is actually going to be the first government in decades, literal decades, that has filled out its whole 4-year term, which is crazy because this was the most there was the most like external noise and external factors pushing out this government. We had judicial reform and all the pushback against it. And Armin and I did a pretty in-depth live stream talking about that. If you're interested, you can go to my earlier videos. Someone actually just bought my Hebrew course. So if it was someone here, thank you very much. I highly, highly appreciate that. If not, then it's just a timing coincidence. Okay. And so you need to form a coalition that has the majority of the members of the parliament, or at least is supported by the majority, even if not all of them are part of the coalition. And we have essentially 2 blocks. You have the Netanyahu block in orange, which is Likud, and then the 2 ultra-Orthodox parties, the Mizrahi one. Mizrahi is the Jews that came from mainly Arabic-speaking countries, and the Ashkenazi ones, Jews that came from mainly European-speaking countries, and both of them have ultra-Orthodox factions. So it's Netanyahu, the ultra-Orthodox, Itamar Ben-Gvir, who anyone who has followed me knows I absolutely despise and think he is a blight on Israeli politics. He is the far right Otzma Yehudit, Jewish Power Party, He is trying. So I think that it is a racist party, but that doesn't. And people and he supported Jewish terrorists in the past. I'm not going to get into that too much right now. But the issue, the thing that is critical to understand is that he continuously tries to hide that this is the purpose of his party. If I'm right, it could also be that he has changed his mind. In the past, he used to be very explicitly like a Jewish supremacist. His rhetoric has shifted. Some people would say it's a dog whistle. Some people would say other things, like that it's actually he has matured over the years. I've heard people make that argument. But the critical thing is that he doesn't think, even if he is like a racist Jewish supremacist who wants Arabs to be second-class citizens and so on, whatever that would entail, which I've never heard him say. But even if that is his opinion, he feels the need to hide it, which tells you everything you need to know about the electorate in Israel. That kind of position, saying it outright, would not help him electorally. He feels the need to, if I am right, and again, this is my own interpretation, and it could be wrong here. It could have matured. But if I'm right, then he still feels the need to hide those positions to get elected, to be electable. And a lot of people don't even know that he used to have like a picture of Baruch Goldstein, the Jewish terrorist, on his mantle. Like, I've spoken to people who support him, and then I said, "Yeah, but did you know he have the picture?" And I was like, "Wait, what? No, I didn't know that." And then they like switched to Feiglin, who's not here. Unfortunately, doesn't have enough support. But I think he's a much better representation for the far right. Moshe Feiglin, if anyone is interested, had a conversation with Destiny, the streamer. He put his opinions out as they are. He's not apologetic about them. And Destiny basically agreed with him throughout the whole debate, the whole discussion about like on the essence, and just said, yeah, but the optics are bad and you're not going to get support for this. And you need to be realistic. It was actually crazy. It's a very interesting. It was actually interesting to see. Let's see if I can quickly find it. Look, if you look up Destiny Feiglin, you should find it quite easily. But let's see if I can post the link here as well. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat. Let's see if it works. Hope it works. Okay, and then we have Smotrich, who is the representative of the. He's the sectarian representative of the religious Zionists, although only some of them, because there are several factions within religious Zionism, and he is like the representative of one of those, and his like agenda is West Bank and stopping Palestinian statehood and preventing the Palestinians from having a state, and ideally having more control, more sovereignty over the whole of their area. There are several models for how that would work. You can have sparse autonomy, like cities, like an Emirates type solution. I won't get into it now. It's an interesting discussion, though. So these are the Netanyahu bloc parties. Right now, according to the polls, to most polls, they are below 60 seats. They have somewhere between 51 to 52. I personally think that's underselling it. I think they probably will have like 57, but I don't think they'll cross the 60 threshold. And then the other block is right now being led by Gadi Eisenkot. It used to be led by Naftali Bennett. But Naftali Bennett, there's something incoherent. He used to be like a partner for, oh, you can see, okay. This is Naftali Bennett. He used to be a partner for partners with Smotrich. Like, he is of that same like ilk in terms of like representing the religious Zionism. However, he is more on the liberal end of religious Zionism. So, for example, he's married to a secular woman. He lives in Ra'anana, not in the West Bank. Ra'anana is like a mainstream city in Israel. And he crossed the lines to the anti-Netanyahu bloc. And unfortunately for him, I don't think it's viable because the anti-Netanyahu bloc doesn't have enough people with his level of support for settlements to justify voting for him. And so I predicted, and I was right, that very quickly he's going to fall in the polls, and Gadi Eisenkot is going to rise. Gadi Eisenkot is a much more coherent representative. Also, the party's called together. I don't know if you can see at the bottom. Okay, the party's called together because he joined forces with Yair Lapid, who used to be he's now the head of the opposition. He has 24 seats, and over the last 4 years, he has cratered. And so they partnered together under Bennett, and it's a bit incoherent. Like, what is your platform? Because Lapid is like center left or left, depending on who you ask. So we have, again, just to clarify, we're talking about the blocks right now in Israeli politics. So we have the Netanyahu bloc. We went over that. Gadi Eisenkot right now, he's positioning himself as a centrist and someone who puts the good of the party above his personal good. That's sort of what he's going for, and he's trying to make adult decisions and think about things in a rounded way. The issue is that it's hard to pin down exactly what his positions are. You can read on their website, have their portfolio. It's very general, and a lot of people don't really know what his actual positions are. And I think he wants to keep that ambiguity to maintain support. But I don't think he's going to be able to long term. So there are arguments whether he's dovish, for example. I've seen people say he's dovish, and I've seen a foreign entity say hawkish opposition to Netanyahu, and that's a symptom of him keeping a lot of things close to his chest. But right now he's the leader of the bloc. So it's him, Bennett. I just talked very extensively on Bennett. Yair Golan, who's the leader of the Democrats. That's the party that was very much. That's the political representation of the people who are very much against judicial reform in any way, and they want what I would call, they want a juristocracy, and this is like the representation of the media bubble, to not be very charitable. And I think that because they think that they're actually saving democracy, they're going to do a lot of things that are bad to do in a democracy, like closing media channels and ensuring that the judiciary is not going to change. And they're like the left wing party in Israel right now. They're the only one that's staunchly we're left. Then we have Avigdor Lieberman, who is very hawkish but very secular, and he doesn't want to have a partnership with the ultra orthodox. And as a result, he moved and also he has a personal beef with Netanyahu, and as a result, he moved out of the right wing bloc. The issue is that this side also doesn't have 61 seats. So right now we have two sides that are hovering a few seats before or below 61. Now, how does that make sense? Because we have Arab parties that are not considered legitimate partners, not because they're Arab per se, but because they seem to fundamentally disagree with what Israel is, which is a Jewish democratic state. They still have members of parliament. They're allowed to run. They're just they're politically toxic in terms of forming coalitions with them. Mansour Abbas is trying to break that mold by actually being more not pro-Zionist, but okay with Zionism. He has mentioned that Israel is a Jewish democratic state, and he accepts that. He tried to, or rather, there were clashes between Jews and Arabs in certain mixed cities, and a synagogue was burned down, and he went there to condemn the attacks, which is something you usually don't see from Arab members of parliament in Israel, or at least if Ayman Oda does it. So this party is like the Communist Party in Israel, and they have usually like one token Jewish person in the party to say that no, we're not an Arab party. We're just communists. And he's like allegedly a peacenik, but he never ever condemns any act of violence against Israelis without also giving like another side or saying all sides, like equivocating. And Mansour Abbas just said flat out, no, this is wrong. There are several problems. One is that I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard reports that he has went on Al Jazeera and basically said, yeah, I'm fooling them just to be able to get into the government, because he was part of the previous government run by Naftali Bennett. I'm not going to get into too much. I think probably already getting to too much, but might as well. We're here. Let's finish this. And his party has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. It's another small issue that makes it a problem for people to put him in government, especially as like having the government by the balls, because if you only can get past 60 with his support, then he also can break apart the government whenever he wants, and then he has too much power. And so because neither side is likely to have more than 60, there is forming now a third block, a true center block, that is essentially advocating for a unity government that will remove the ultra-Orthodox, who are doing what people were afraid Mansour Abbas would do. So they're afraid Mansour Abbas would extort the coalition and hurt Israel's security as a result. That's what the ultra-Orthodox are doing. They're extorting the coalition for laws and for exemptions from the military, for military service, because the coalition is dependent on them. So the new unity party that I predict would get somewhere around 8 seats, it's still coalescing. There are several movements going in that direction that eventually are going to coalesce into one party by the election, that is essentially saying, look, we have our disagreements, but let's have a government that's like the people around the center. So you have center right, center incoherent, and Lieberman also can be in that government. It probably won't have Ben-Gvir, and probably won't have Golan. Golan would not agree. He would want to be like the sole opposition to Netanyahu in the opposition. The sole true opposition. Like, I'm actually the only one who's not willing to sit with him. Smotrich might be there. Depends. But what they're going to do is try to coalesce together the parties that agree on most things, to a coalition that would try to like rebuild Israel. And so that's, for the record, this is the party that I will probably vote for once it's ready. We'll see what the constitution, what's what its constitution is, not the constitution in the legal sense. But most likely this is where my vote will go. Just, for the record, so my biases in how I present things. Okay, let's see. So that was quite long. Elisheva is saying I can't find the link for the Hebrew class. So it's hebleo.com, hebleo.com. I believe I put it in the description, but maybe I only put it for one of the channels. But thank you for looking at it and being interested. These polls were always wrong. They don't reflect the periphery. I agree, Alexan. That's why I said it's likely going to be higher. I predict like 57 to the current right-wing bloc. In the way it is right now. That's before the Unity Party exists. Which is, but I also don't agree with Filber's polls. Filber is like the pro coalition pollster, and he's saying they actually have a majority. I don't agree with that either. Kat is saying, BT, you need to join my lives from time to time. It's an obligation. Yes, by the way, Kat also does excellent live streams, so go follow her as well. Okay. How many times can you be prime minister? Right now, there's no limit. Netanyahu is, I don't know. I stopped counting the number of terms he's had. I think it's like his fifth. I think it's 5, but it could be wrong. Also, he was interim prime minister for a while when we had like 4 rounds of elections. So, but right now there's no limit, and people are saying that they want to put a limit in the future. Nina's asking conservative. Nina, if you can clarify what that's about. But the Likud is like the conservative party, although they're not as fiscally conservative as I would like. If I couldn't vote for this party, I might vote for Lieberman. I also think he has he's a dark horse to be prime minister if he plays his cards right, because Bennett became prime minister with 6 seats. And that's also part of the reason why he's like he has a fundamental problem with getting a strong electorate. Avigdor Lieberman can use that precedent and say, listen, if you don't give me the prime ministership, I'm going to go in the other block. I'm comfortable enough in the other block because I am hawkish and I am very right wing. Yeah. So he has some. There's some analysts are saying that there is actually a chance that Lieberman would become prime minister. All right. Isn't he himself Mizrahi? I assume you mean Eisenkot, and the answer is yes. Eisenkot is Mizrahi. That also gives him like an edge in Israeli politics because the Ashkenazis are considered to be the elite. Bright Flame is saying Ben Gvir is a horrible person and so bad for Israel. I agree with that. Likewise, Smotrich. I don't agree with that as much. I think Smotrich is fundamentally a more serious actor, and he is advancing things that while I disagree with, I would disagree with him on a bunch of stuff. Like if you look at podcasts, he's fundamentally he has well thought out positions. Feiglin is a libertarian. Yes, that is true. So Feiglin is the person I wish would replace Itamar Ben-Gvir as the representative of the far right that is not sectarian. I think he's much more eloquent. He has way more thought out positions. He's not as much of a populist. So I think he would be a better representation. But again, I'm not of that block, so maybe I'm wrong because he's not the representation. Ben Gvir is a bad choice. Thank God he isn't at the top of the poll. He would never be at the top of the poll. Ben Gvir, people who demonize Israel assume that Ben Gvir is representative. The opinions of Ben Gvir are representative of the majority of Israelis, and that's just fundamentally not the case. Okay, this is, for the record, I put in the chat the Destiny Feiglin debate. I think it's very interesting. If you're interested in Israel. Oh yeah. Okay, now I see the issue. Okay, so we meant Itamar Ben-Gvir is Mizrahi. Yes, I meant racism towards Arabs, not towards other Jews. Like he's a Jewish supremacist. Would be my read on his internal thoughts, which I always caution against, like believing too much your own internal imagination when someone secretly thinks that they're not saying. But that is my impression, and I'll keep it at that. And I could very much be wrong. Okay. So I didn't see this comment before. I feel like the anti-Israel crowd, but that's exactly what I said. So that's a very cogent point, Koala. And again, cogent because I agree with it. So it's obviously very smart, and I obviously think it's very smart because it agrees with me. So Koala is saying, I feel like the anti-Israel crowd tries to make Ben Gvir the norm in Israel. Yes, that is exactly what's happening. They're trying to paint all Israelis like they're Ben Gvir. He's okay. So he's a libertarian at heart. I don't think Ben Gvir has a an economic agenda. And also, Feiglin, while he has an economic agenda, that's not. He tried to make that his calling card, and it failed. And whatever he would do now would be more of like a security or geopolitics thing. He also has the economic agenda, but that wouldn't be the main thing he would run on. That's why I think it would be a good representation of that level of right wing thought in Israel. First man before Bibi, meaning Eisenkot. I think it would be good if you added Bennett to his cabinet. So the right wing in Israel really hates Bennett and thinks he no longer holds the position that he claims to hold, or that he maybe never held them, and that he would sell out anything to have a role. I, however, tend to agree with you. I think Bennett would be able to, even if Eisenkot is too dovish, I think Bennett would be able to even it out a bit in the cabinet. But a lot of people on the right would not agree with that. And the issue is that if you have a government that is run by this guy and has this guy in it, you have Yair Golan balancing it out from the other side. So you're not going to get Bennett with a lot of. And by the way, I think 16 is also too much. I think he's going to crater. He's going to be around 10, I think. And his party is only like half his parties. He also has Yair Lapid's people, who are also dovish. So that would be like I'm not in favor of the opposition's coalition because of Yair Golan mainly. That's my main point of concern with the opposition's coalition. Otherwise, I think they're fine people, and Lieberman is very hawkish, and Bennett is hawkish enough, and Eisenkot is not opposed to, like, he's not dovish. He's just maybe not as hawkish as one would want. Okay, let's look at more. Okay, so in answering, I think I missed one of Qualicati's questions. You have parties, and then the leader of the usually largest party, the largest party in the bloc that is most likely to form a coalition. So if you have a large party with like 45 seats, but no one is willing to sit with it, it's not going to become prime minister because no one's willing to sit with it. So it's going to be the next largest party that is actually able to form a coalition with 61 plus members. So David is saying you're not mentioning that Mansour Abbas is part of the Muslim Brotherhood and has in the past met with Hamas leaders. I didn't mention that he met with Hamas leaders in the past. I did mention that he's part of the Muslim Brotherhood. Oh, so it turns out I need one more subscriber to hit 500. So someone, please subscribe. Preferably a lot of someone's. This is very educational. Thanks, Guy from the USA here. Glad to hear it. While communists are everywhere, says Samir. Yes, but I mean they're not a. So this is the communist this is a bunch of different movements together. And one portion of this movement is communism. But communism has very, very low traction in Israel. However, Israel is too left-wing economically to my liking for historical reasons. I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen to free up the market in a smart way. Oh, okay. Someone asking about the president. So the president is a symbolic role chosen by the Knesset. Again, Knesset is the parliament. Yitzhak Herzog is the current president, and he is left-wing. And actually, my opinion is that October 7th happened because of him, which is a big accusation, but I can support it. He had the chance of getting a proper judicial reform that would also get wide support. And they're like the leaked versions of that were like good and people could live with, but then he caved in the last moment and put out a seemingly like, yeah, this is the widely supported framework for judicial reform, and it turns out to be basically everything that the left wing wanted. So it was basically no change. The only change was like that he made the judiciary pinky promise that they'll only use um, the reasonability clause, which is basically they can strike down a decision if they think it's unreasonable, even though the law doesn't make it doesn't say it's unreasonable. And he made them basically pinky promise to only use it when it's really necessary. The problem is that you're still leaving it up to their subjective judgment, and you just say no, but this time it's really necessary. Like it's a problematic clause, and that was the only real difference from what what needed changing anyway. So if he had balls and stuck to the actual um compromise that they came up with in the negotiations, and I actually know some people who were in the negotiations that talked like that would have been fine. The right wing would have been fine with it. The left wing would have been fine with it, but he didn't. He caved because, well, I don't know why, but he caved to essentially left wing pressure, and as a result, we had the infighting that led to Hamas thinking that October 7th is a good idea because Israel is very weak. So the chances are, if there's a tie, he will first take Eisenkot with forming the government. This is about Herzog. No, because not necessarily, because it's not a tie. A tie. It's like if there's a tie, he will take whoever has the largest block. That could still be Eisenkot. But it's the person with the highest chance of forming the government gets it, and it's usually not 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 really up to interpretation. It's very clear cut. And if there's a total tie, I think he'll try to push for a unity government. So I disagree that he would give Eisenkot the chance to do it. Just because he's left leaning. Thanks for starting your show in the morning, listening while I'm at work. Yeah. So it's Casey. So hey Casey, and yeah, glad to do it. That's one of the reasons this show exists. But Armin is not here because Armin is probably like still asleep when I start because he's in the West Coast and it's 6 a.m. for him. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. We're trying to expand the schedule so that more people would have a chance to go for our live show. Is the president elected? So she's asking Alexan, but I also it's good for everyone to hear this. The president is elected by the members of the Knesset, and I think it's in an anonymous vote, but I could be wrong. And apparently BT is saying I'm a fun guy, so just so everyone knows, BT is a mushroom. I really love dad jokes, just so you know. Like, if this is a reason not to watch me, then don't watch me. I'd rather sit in front of 10 people and make dad jokes than sit in front of 1,000 and not make dad jokes. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so BT, did I answer? How does that connect to October 7th? I tried to give a very short rundown. Oh yeah, okay. So okay, I assume that's what you said it about. If we all hit the like button when we log in, it helps pop the YouTube algorithm. And okay, if we all hit the like button when we log in, it helps pop the YouTube algorithm. So this is from Soapbox, and that gets the members to notice. Yes, so please do that. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe, comment. All these things are very good for the algorithm and for pushing the stream to other people. Oh, Armin is in his Farsi class now, I think. Could be. Okay. What is your position on settlement expansion? We should not let messianics set the agenda for a secular state. So Bright Flame is the person who was against Ben-Gvir and Smotrich. I used to be very much against settlement expansion up until October 7th. Right now, I'm in favor of Moti Keidar's emirate solution, where you have a bunch of municipalities that are run independently that are under Israel's umbrella, like what the sheikhs in Hebron wanted. And there's a Wall Street Journal article where they basically say this: we're willing to recognize Israel as a Jewish democratic state, and we want to secede from the Palestinian Authority and become our own independent thing that is under the Israel's umbrella. And I think you could start a pilot there and hopefully expand it over time because of the enormous economic benefits that it would give them. Right now, I think that the Palestinian Authority, especially after its reaction to October 7th, is too much of a risk security-wise, and I don't think it should continue to exist. And I say that with pain because I was very much in favor of the two-state solution for a lot of my life. And as a result, I'm not for the settlement expansion as it's happening right now, but I think the push should be made for the emirate solution. That's where I currently stand. Long div dad jokes. Yes, Javid dad jokes. Let's see if there's anything else. So, guys, let me know if this was helpful. If it was too much information, not enough information. I held there was not enough information. But if it was too much information, if it was hard to follow, let me know. We'll do stuff like this in the future as well about history and other stuff. I mean, right now I'm not actually doing anything with the shared screen. So I wonder if Messianics in Israel are similar to those in the U.S. at all. Quite anti-Jewish here in my experience, and also very aggressive hardline. They're not as anti-Jewish here. Now, it's Messianic is a word that is often used by people who disagree with one political side to talk about the other. But and this used to be the left talking about the right. The right has since co-opted in saying that believing in the two-state solution is just as messianic, is just as divorced from reality, and hopeful about maybe at some point something good would happen. As the messianics who think that the Mashiach will come. So the messianics are basically saying it's fine. We should do what the Bible says because eventually God will be on our side, even though we don't have concrete reasons to believe that this is what we should do. Jose is saying perfect, no change needed. Thank you, Jose. All right. History. Okay, so Yuda wants a history of the Palestinian kings. Sure. I think I have time to do that. So here's the list. Yeah. So how was that? I think I was pretty thorough, right? I went through all of them. Okay. So Alexan got to disagree that the judicial reform is connected to October 7th. Rather, it was our fault as a nation as a whole for thinking that our technological edge will keep us safe. I mean, it's more than one thing. But I think that this, as far as something you can pin on a single person, other than the obvious, like Ronen Bar and the security establishment not waking up Netanyahu, not necessarily. I'm not sure if it would have changed anything, but at the very least, they did not do what they needed to. I think that Herzog's decision at the time, if he had not caved, I think October 7th would not have happened. and it's not as obvious as like the people who were there and just didn't realize what was happening. And that's why I want to actually highlight it as like a reason. And I would include myself in this critique. Never could have I imagined that our high tech fence could be breached without anyone noticing. I'm the same. Most people in Israel were part of this false conception of the world. Which is why it's hard to like. That's the more that's the obvious part of it. That's the part that doesn't even need saying anymore because everyone agrees. And then they just accuse everyone who's more part of the conception than others. That's the political mudslinging that's going on right now. So I have a lot to learn about Messianic Jews. Right around the corner from where I live is Messianic Jews temple, and they were harassed by nutjob Nazis last year. So there's something important to understand about this soapbox. There are many, many, many Jewish sects. You have Chabad, and I assume that the one you're talking about is Chabad. There's Messianic in the sense that we actually already had the Mashiach, and he's going to come back. We have a recent one that's like that as well. That's Chabad. But there are other sects, and the point is not like the Messianic Jews are usually outside of Israel are Chabad. The Messianic Jews in Israel is anyone who's for the settlements, for religious reasons. That's how it's viewed here, and anyone who believes that Mashiach will actually come and help us. So it's not the same thing, and there are many different sects, and we can also do a show about that and about Kabbalah. Oh, look who's here. Is there any monkey business going on, Guy Landau? So Motorpool Grease Monkey. I'm not great with business, but good with monkeys. Yes, I've seen you being good with monkeys before. So guys, really quickly, the person I am talking to right now, as I'm sure you know, he now does the slot with Armin. He stole my slot with Armin. Is Motorpool Grease Monkey. Motorpool Grease Monkey has unfortunately passed me in the number of subscribers, even though he started after me. But he also created way more content than me, so I guess it's fair. Still, even though he's a filthy thief, you should subscribe to his channel because he makes excellent content, both with Armin and by himself. He made a Charlie Kirk thing about all the lunatic right, or the woke right, or the far right, or the woke Reich, or however you want to call them. Communism versus democracy. He has a lot of very good streams and content. Oh, I see he's watching Asmongold, who has good taste. He did a Legacy of Lindsey Graham stream yesterday. I highly recommend following him, even though he stole Armin from me. Oh, these kinds of Messianic Jews. Okay. Messianic Jews in the US are called Jews for Jesus. Okay, that's a very, very small sect in Israel. They don't have a lot of representation. Okay, that Messiah, the one from 2,000 years ago. So there's these, but they're a very, very small sect in Judaism. There is the Chabad, which is they also have a Messiah that died, but that was very recently, a few decades ago. And they're like the most well-known sect in outside of Israel because they have a lot of representation. And Tucker Carlson thinks that they're taking over the world or something. It's so weird because they're like the nicest, sweetest people, and just want to host you and give you food and stuff. Okay, so but I was right about Soapbox. Chabad, yes, that is the one near me. So I did understand what Soapbox was talking about, even though I missed you. I misunderstood you. And oh, what a good guy. As you can see, I'm not the only one in this community that is fond of dad jokes. Okay, we have a bunch of new people. Hey, that monkey business was promised to me 3,000 years ago. Um, Monkey says, you know what? I changed my mind. Don't subscribe to Monkey. Don't subscribe to this channel right here. I'm gonna highlight the handle so you'll know to avoid it. That went too far. All right. Guy, can you talk about the protests that happened during summer 2023? Did this effect lead to October 7th? Country was divided. Yes. At least arguably it led to October 7th because people that were convinced that their country was going to no longer be a democracy threatened that if you would pass these judicial reform laws, we're not going to volunteer in the army, and you're not going to have an army. And the media pumped that, oh, Israel doesn't have an army. Now it was a bluff because they did enlist and go immediately after October 7th. But Hamas thought it was true. Hamas thought that Israel is the weakest that it's ever been, and this is the one chance to take care of it. And it was also 50 years exactly to the day of the Yom Kippur War, and like all these things coalesced and like saying, yes, we're going to jump the gun. We're not going to wait for Iran to order us in Lebanon to do this. BT is saying I do all the dad jokes in my house. Sad, really. I mean, they're not dad jokes if the other people around you like them. A good dad joke is one that gets people rolling their eyes at you. Like that's what I go for with my dad jokes. So by the way, I'm streaming on both channels. So people are saying are we in the wrong chat, or like if you're not seeing certain comments, it's because I'm streaming on both channels. Oh, Omri, my friend Omri, who I might host at some point if he's interested, on the channel, more for the philosophy stuff, not for the political stuff. But if I do a philosophical stream, then Omri is absolutely a guest I have in mind. So hi Omri, he's a great friend of mine. Good. E is saying, I unsubscribe, no more bananas for you, monkey. Haha. All right. Yeah, I remember I visited in July and couldn't get anywhere in the city. Streets were blocked. This started the chain of protesters thinking it's okay to block roads for protests. I won't get into why, but it was wrong. It shouldn't have happened, and it should not have been allowed to happen. But nevertheless, it happened, and now everyone does it. Okay, and Alexan gave another super chat. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Good job. Hope you will platform our Druze. Oh, Mansour and Khalifa, to educate non-Israelis about their plight. I absolutely should do that. I might actually have a way to get to both, actually. Both to Mansour al-Ashkar and to Khalifa Khalifa. I think they're both excellent, and I'd be very happy to give them a platform to talk about everything. They're really great. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So Kayoku, that guy channel and stream, that is Guy's channel and stream if you're looking for his chat. Make sure to like and sub to him. So again, great opportunity. Also, we have a bunch of new viewers. This is my channel. I'm gonna post it in the chat as well. I probably should have put it in the description. I'll put it in the description once we're done. And please subscribe to my channel. That's one thing. And also, by the way, it's much better if you go watch on my stream because I also need to get my watch hours up. And so the more people who watch on my channel help me get my watch hours up so that I can get monetized once I have 1,000 subscribers. Okay. What else? Jose is saying, be like Jose, follow Jose's lead. I'm subscribed to Guy, Monkey, and Armin, also Goldie and Tusi. Yes, do exactly all of this except Monkey. Monkey saying, I heard a prophecy that some guy was promised to co-host with me and get as many of my subscribers as I could share. It was foretold 3,000 years to soothe the guy's insomnia when it comes. Yes, so Motorpool Grease Monkey has offered me, which I'm sure was a fake offer because he knows everything about my sleep schedule, to host to come be a guest on his streams. And the problem is that his streams are at 3 a.m. in Israel, so it's going to be hard to manage. If at some point it works out, I would be very happy to do so, even though you're a dirty thief. Also, you're free to come on my channel, and whatever subscribers I have that you don't already have, they'll hear about you that way. Oh, Jose, are you not sub to Ali? Oh, that's a good point. Jose, you should sub to Ali as well. Okay, BT is saying, but Chabad doesn't not believe in Jesus. They have Menachem Mendel Schneerson. I just never registered he was a Messiah. That's wild to me. Yes, they considered him to be the Messiah. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. Jose is saying, I'm now on yours. Thank you, Jose. Yes, that's what I say. Whereas Armin, who is this guy? Armin is doing something else right now. I am Liberty Politics resident Israel analyst, Israeli geopolitics, or like geopolitics in general from an Israeli perspective. Also, if you're interested in learning about Israel, and also some philosophy. We'll definitely do some philosophy stuff. I've seen some interest from people in the chat. Okay, so let's move on to and another thing. If anyone here is interested in learning Hebrew, I'm going to post a comment. Heblio.com. It should be in the description. I think for one of the channels, it's not in the description, and I'll fix it after the stream. But if you're interested in learning Hebrew, I've been a Hebrew tutor for over 10 years. And I've created a course based on the materials, based on the experience, based on my background in cognitive science. So I know how learning works and how to make learning effective. It's self-paced. It's much cheaper than any other solution you will find online at the moment. It's 50% off. I forgot to mention that earlier. And these are the lost my train of thought. So Heblio, great way to learn Hebrew, self-paced course. If you're interested in learning Hebrew, I sincerely believe it's the best way to do it, and I built it because I didn't find like a good thing to suggest to my students to learn Hebrew without like paying thousands of dollars per semester. It gives you a lot of content and a lot of very good understanding. Again, because I know how to frame things because of my background in cognitive science and how learning works. It's and by the way, I'm only saying this because I gotta purchase earlier, so I think there's at least some interest from people who are here potentially. Also, my own background in learning languages, so I speak 4 languages: Hebrew, English, Arabic, and Japanese. I'm about to learn Spanish and or Farsi. But I have a lot, like I've seen myself what works for self-paced and for leading oneself in learning. And so you can do it at your own time. It's way cheaper than other ways of learning Hebrew. So if you've ever thought of learning Hebrew, that's legitimately the best way I think to do it. Okay. So next, so we talked about the Israel politics. Another thing, so I made this also with AI. Someone asked me a while ago about Israeli media, and this is a very simplified version. There are other sites and other outlets as well, but generally, Israeli media is it's not really center. So you have like the mainstream bubble, which is like the channels in America. So channel 12 would be akin to CNN. Channel 13 would be akin to MSNBC. So like leftist, like explicit, like not hiding the fact that they're left wing. Channel 12 is hiding the fact that they're left wing, but nevertheless they do things from a very partisan perspective. Ynet is about around the same as Channel 12. It's online, but it's a website. Kan is the state sponsored television, sort of like PBS or BBC. It's not as bad as those are in terms of political bias, although some right wingers in Israel would disagree with me. They do have at least a modicum of balance. You have like Ayala Hasson's show to balance out things. Like they at least try or claim to try. Okay, Subbox is saying, Guy, we'll talk epistemology sometime, the most interesting branch. I completely agree. Epistemology is the analysis of not just the analysis, but the how to know whether you can know. And like everything about knowledge, like the philosophy of knowledge, essentially. Yeah, Haaretz is very left wing. And sometimes, actually, fun fact, I actually know some people on the board of Haaretz. They're like family friends. And we talk about it sometimes. Haaretz, from their perspective, is like, look, we have this is actually for Israel because it shows that Israel has an open media, and that it can criticize the country, and they do think that the situation in the West Bank and the settlements is bad. And to be fair, to the extent that there are problems there, they're the only ones reporting it, essentially. It's just that I think that a lot of the things they report either are mischaracterized or end up being like partial in a way that creates a distorted image of a distorted picture of what actually happened. Okay, so Grease Monkey is asking, is it for left? Is there a channel 16? There is a new channel 16. I don't know enough about it to say anything about it. But Khalifa is there, the Druze person I mentioned earlier. So I'm already I'm excited for it just on that alone, because he's a very, very good person to show information about the Arab world. Again, from an Israeli perspective, from an Israeli Druze perspective, which is a very interesting perspective and community. Okay, so Mortar Pool Grease Monkey is saying, is it 4 left, 1 right? Most leftists have 4 left wingers for every right winger and call it balanced. Yeah, so that's channel 12. That's the channel 12 thing. For Kan, they have some shows that are like 2 people, 1 right wing, 1 left wing, talking to each other, but I also don't watch it enough to say with confidence anything beyond that. There does seem to be a left wing bias, but it's not as bad as the others. Then we have I-24, which is my personal favorite media channel in Israel right now. I might like channel 16 more, especially if it really tries to be balanced and not, because this is a right wing channel. It's center right, but it's definitely more right wing. Then we have Israel Hayom. Israel Hayom is a newspaper / website. Again, staunchly right wing perspective. Used to be vehemently pro Netanyahu, and that has changed. This is the paper that the Edelsons run. It used to be staunchly pro Netanyahu. Now it's like general right wing. And then we have channel 14, which is staunchly pro Netanyahu. Or it's the most right wing channel in Israel. It's not blindly for Netanyahu as much as some people like say that it is. That's like a channel. It's a propaganda channel for Netanyahu. I don't agree with that assessment. Sometimes they criticize Netanyahu if he's not right wing enough. They are very right wing and also religious, and they tend to be pro ultra orthodox, for example, which I disagree with. Although again, they have panels and people disagree on the panels, but they have like that angle to them. So someone asked for this before. I hope this was interesting. Alexan is saying Haaretz 20 years ago is totally different to Haaretz today. Yes, I agree. They went it's sort of like the left. What happened to them is what happened to the left in general in the world. Just like went leftward and leftward and leftward over the past 20 years. What's the difference between right wing and left wing politics in Israel? It's mostly security. So it used to be economics way back when, socialism versus capitalism. And then after 67, it slowly started shifting to being about what to do with. In 67, we had the 6 Day War, and we got control over a bunch of areas, including Gaza and the West Bank, and Sinai, which we then gave back to the Egyptians for a peace deal. But and also the Golan Heights. After that happened, the political boundaries start to shift to the right wing being pro staying in the West Bank and Gaza, and the left wing, and especially in the 90s when we had the Oslo Accord that created the Palestinian Authority, the left wing started talking about separating from the Palestinians, or became about separating from the Palestinians, having a two-state solution, and so on. After October 7th, the two-state solution it was already dying in Israeli politics, but now it's like dead, basically. No, if you say you're for the two-state solution, you're going to lose a lot of people. Two states in the sense of like a full state for the Palestinians, not some, like, for example, a lot of right wingers would be fine with the Emirates solution that I mentioned earlier, where you have independent cities that are tied together through like the Emirates in UAE are different municipalities that have like their own autonomous control based on tribes, and then they also have a centralized body, but it's like the autonomous control based on the tribes is the main thing here, because of it plays into what works best for Arab culture. The places that are thriving are the places that are clan based. The places that aren't are the places that had Western notions of nationality imposed upon them from outside. Iraq, Syria, Lebanon. It's when you try to put a bunch of tribes together and there's constant fighting there. So if you do a solution that's based on the tribal aspects of the country, it's it might work better. That's the claim there. And so you create municipalities that are based on the main tribe of the municipality. And a lot of right wingers would be fine with this solution, but not a full state based on the Palestinian Authority. Let's see. Okay, I'm not gonna read one of Grease Monkey's comments. Bad Monkey, the one about Khalifa. You know what you wrote. You know what you said. Oh, sorry. I actually didn't finish the point. So now, this two-state solution is pretty much dead, and so the lines are about judicial reform and about not really about ultra-orthodox, because it's mostly the ultra-orthodox that are for that, but also like what kind of posture we should have for the world, and what we should do with the West Bank. Like it's still a bit there, but the lines are becoming a bit different. And judicial reform is becoming a big sticking point. Roman Viking is saying, Israel tried separating in 2005 in Gaza. Yes, I'm not going to get into it now because we don't have a lot of time. That's one of the things that led to the two-state solution becoming way less popular. Okay, so I think we're done with the media. So What about Jerusalem Post, Times of Israel, JNS? All these, I gave you like the main ones. Those are mostly read by non-Israelis. They're like like Times of Israel isn't in Hebrew. Jerusalem Post isn't in Hebrew. JNS isn't in Hebrew. These are outside-facing media channels in Israel. They're not for Israelis. So I wanted to give you the outlook for within Israel. Good. Okay. Let's quickly talk about. I mean, we don't have much time. This took each topic took longer than I expected. Ahmadinejad, and like, what's up with that, right? Why did I tend to believe the story that Mossad tried to enlist him? I think it was a bad idea, and it's easy to say in hindsight. But I can see why they would try to do that, because he has a lot. I mean, Armin said this already. He has a lot of support in the villages, and if you want someone to do a surrender phase, that could be the person. I just don't think you should believe him. Like, he's unreliable, very obviously. And again, it's very easy for me to say this in hindsight. It's just that between this and the arming of the Kurds, I think there were some fuck ups that Mossad did that they could have avoided. That, like, now there's a new head of Mossad that came from outside of the organization, and I think the reason for that is that Netanyahu very quickly understood that there were blind spots in Mossad's outlook in terms of what the general Iranian public wants, that need to be corrected. Okay, so this is a good comment. Thanks, Guy, for the media explanation. I have to go to work, so I will watch the recording later. Quick question: does watching recordings up your view count? Absolutely. It's a live stream, and once it's done being a live stream, it's just a video that you can watch. And it absolutely, like, just like any other videos. You can watch this. You can watch other videos. If you watch the backlog of interesting live streams I did with Armin and the videos from them, that also ups my my watch hours. So it's absolutely something you can do, and I don't expect everyone that watches this to watch it live. Okay. Let's see. So so I think Mossad, there were problems with Mossad that are now being corrected. The person they brought in is someone who's really good at putting a different perspective, like showing a different perspective or looking at several perspectives. He was someone who kept banging at the bell before October 7th, that, like, there's a blind spot and we need to take care of it, and they laughed at him, and he turned out to be right. Why would Mossad reveal such elaborate plot from a recent months? It doesn't make any sense. It's not Mossad wasn't the one that revealed it. It was Americans that, like, were in on it or something along those lines. It didn't come from Assad. Okay, Motorpool Grismong say, yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm gonna play the backlog too. Being here matters. They love retention. Yes, that is true. I mean, if you can be here, that's great. But if you can't, then it's also absolutely fine if you watch it back and watch it after the fact. Okay. Okay, I had other topics, but we're not gonna have time for them today. Whichever ones are relevant, I'll do next time. I might do another one tomorrow. We'll see. I need to see what my schedule is like. So unfortunately, I can't do it yet every day. I'll try to ramp up to that. But for now, I need to, like, arrange my life such that it becomes viable to do. Yeah, no, I'll the rest of the topics I have are for I have 10 minutes, and I promise to talk about whether I think Israel will join the war. That's actually the the hook of this video, so I might as well talk about it at some point in the video. Here's the thing: Israel will join the war if, like, Trump willing. Okay, so if Trump wants us to join the war, we will join the war. We have a bank of targets. We have things we'd like to get done. We're very eager to get it done. If we're not needed for now, we're comfortable chilling, as we are. The regime is getting weaker by the day, and we're not getting bombed. And that's nice, not getting bombed. But us getting bombed is not a deterrent factor for joining the strikes. There's a comment I want to respond to, but I probably maybe if I have time in a couple minutes. And so Israel is eager, is ready, it's willing, it's able. So Israel will, if it's allowed. The question is, does Trump want us to? I suspect that Trump will want us to join eventually. If it gets to that, I think if we get to like a 2 to 3 week actual proper bombing campaign, absolutely we'll join. Right now, it's up to Trump mostly what happens. So that's basically it. And people have said as much. Let's see if I can find. Okay, so this is what I want to show. Israel is bracing for potential escalation in its conflict with Iran as military preparations and strategic assessments signal a readiness for the next phase. And then had another one. And Israel also, because of the recent escalation, has extended emergency home front status 2 more weeks. Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee approved the government's request to extend the special emergency status on the home front through July 28th, 2026. So basically, Israel is posturing. It's like, let's assume it's going to happen. And be prepared for it. So very much the willingness is there. The will is there. Okay, so a comment I wanted to respond to. Netanyahu doesn't want another toady in there. I thought the new head had no Modi'in background. So this is a comment that is basically indicative of what the anti-Netanyahu bloc, the way they view his decisions. Their claim that he put people in there that are close to him to do his bidding, essentially. So he put him there. He put Zini in the head of Shabak. Actually, and they are very different than the people who were there before. The problem with the people who were there before that they were explicitly not willing to do what the elected ranks wanted them to do, and that's a problem. You can't have a secret police that's not beholden to the government. It also has to be beholden to the law, but it needs to do what the government tells it to do. Otherwise, you have a police state. And in no way, no place other than Israel is that considered even remotely legitimate. And Zini also, like, there were leaks, there were partial leaks. I actually know people who were there listening into what he said, and then the other leaks came out that he said, like, the leader of the Shin Bet, again, he's the leader of the Shin Bet, has to be to answer to the elected branch, and then he said, whoever that might be, meaning not just this government, but any government. And that's fundamentally true. That's a basic fact of democracy. It's also a basic fact of the law. The law explicitly says that the Shin Bet is beholden to the prime minister, or to the government, rather. That doesn't mean he can do whatever the government says. It's beholden to the government and the law, or subject to the law. But it has to be beholden to the government. You can't have people undermining the political establishment's decisions because they think they know better, because they're the commanders. Commanders are there to do the bidding of the people whom the people chose. Otherwise, it's not democratic. And again, it has to be beholden to certain standards, and there have to be limits. But no one's saying otherwise. And there's a side that's pretending that people are saying otherwise. Okay, so Alex, back to the previous issue. Mossad disclosed top secret plot to Americans that known to leak everything. It doesn't make any sense. Mossad disclosed plans because they were in effect. The Americans knew about the plan because there was a joint Israeli-American plan to overthrow the regime, and Ahmadinejad was the person tapped for that. And so the Americans sort of have to know, if you're going to bomb Iran together, that, hey, this guy's an asset, right? And like, you have to share that. It's not necessarily for the purpose of getting leaked. It was leaked a while ago, and now again. But that doesn't mean. I mean, that doesn't mean Mossad leaked it, and that doesn't make it not true. It could be not true. There are reasons. I think it's not true. For example, they're saying that he is now under house arrest, Ahmadinejad, but he was seen in public several times over the last few weeks. But it could be because the IRGC knows he's popular, and they don't want to make a scene out of it because he's more popular than them in many respects. So there are reasons to doubt it. I just don't think, oh, Mossad leaked it, so it must not be true, is one of them, because I don't think Mossad leaked this. Motorpool Grease Monkey saying Trump loves savings almost as much as Israelis, and letting Israelis do what they do best would save us a lot of money. Yes, that is true. There was a comment by Monkey that I saw. Sarayu, so CIA, MI6, MI5, Mossad, they are beholden to the government? Yes. Yes. I mean, if they're not, that's a problem. And to the extent that they're not, that's a problem. But absolutely, they are beholden to the elected rank that tells them in general terms what to do. And you don't get into the details, but what are the goals? What are we pursuing? Why are we trying to do what we're trying to do? To the extent that that's not the case, that's a huge problem, democratically speaking. Okay. I saw there was a comment that I saw in the in this part by Monkey that I'm trying to find about whether how divisive Netanyahu is. And I can't find it now. Okay, there we go. Is Netanyahu a proto-Trump, polarizing yet so influential that being for or against him will define you on the right and everything else on the left, and everyone on the left hate him? Yes. Netanyahu actually, I think, did it before Trump. Just because, I mean, he's been prime minister since 2009, on and off. And actually, he was in the 90s. He was already prime minister once, but he became like this polarizing figure after 2009, after he rose to power and kept staying in power. So for a lot of people, and by the way, that's also like part of his branding, like his conscious branding, like, I'm the right wing, people who are forming the right wing. And so when Lieberman left the government and went into the opposition, didn't want to join the government, and then we had rounds of elections. Again, I think I closed it. Yes, I closed it. Let's see if I can open it. Oh, okay, we don't have time. But Lieberman is like the right wing hawk who's secular, and so Netanyahu labeled him. Oh, he went to the left. He moved to the left. So that was actually a conscious effort made by Netanyahu at the time. All right, everyone, we're out of time, and Armin and Grease Monkey are about to go live, I assume. I mean, that's what they usually do. So I will end the stream here once again. Oh, that's the wrong. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Ali's channel. We didn't talk about it, but subscribe to Ali's channel as well. And subscribe to Grease Monkey's channel. Or don't. I mean, Grease Monkey specifically, you can give or take. And yeah, and if you're interested in learning Hebrew, there's a link in the description. And that's it. Hope you had a good time. I look at the comments later, like the comments on the video. for feedback, things I did well, things I didn't do well, things I can learn from for the future. This is my first time going solo. So I hope it was good. I love you guys, such a sweet guy. Love you too, monkey, I guess. You thief. All right. All right, I'll see you guys.